Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidas y bienvenidos a todos. Voy a dar un pequeño mensaje en inglés para las personas que nos están escuchando desde Estados Unidos. Hello and welcome everyone to this online event called Paralympic Glory. This is a bilingual event. So that means that the first half is going to be in Spanish and the second half we're going to switch to English. So to enable interpretation, please just click on the world icon that is located at the bottom of your screens. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy en este evento de título Gloria Paralímpica. Es para nosotros un gusto recibirlos a unos días antes de los Juegos Paralímpicos de París 2024. Mi nombre es Isabel Migoya y yo trabajo para Arizona State University. El evento de hoy está organizado por dos programas de ESU en colaboración con la Embajada de Estados Unidos en México. El primer programa se llama Convergence Lab. Es una serie de eventos que organizamos presenciales y en línea con el objetivo de conectar con audiencias en México para pensar los retos y las oportunidades que compartimos como región. Y el otro programa se llama el Great Game Lab. Esta es una iniciativa nueva de ESU que explora la convergencia del deporte, la geopolítica y los medios de comunicación. Y es esto lo que nos une hoy virtualmente para conversar con dos increíbles atletas, una de México y otra de Estados Unidos, que son muy generosas con su tiempo y nos acompañan hoy a pesar de que ya es muy tarde allá en París, donde están. Pero antes de empezar, quisiera hacerle la palabra a Michelle Rulbelt, de la Embajada de Estados Unidos en México, quienes siempre son los grandes aliados con nuestros proyectos. Así que adelante, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Isabel, and good afternoon and evening, I guess, to some of our participants. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all today as we celebrate the remarkable achievements, really, of Paralympic athletes. And so first, I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you, Isabel, and to Arizona State University and its great Game and Convergence Labs for the incredible work you do in strengthening the ties between our two nations. In particular, I want to recognize Andres Martinez, Mia Armstrong Lopez, and Isabel Migoya for their leadership and dedication. Both the United States and Mexico have a rich and proud tradition in sports, and both stand among the most successful nations in the history of the Paralympic Games. Our guests of honor today are living proof of the power of discipline, perseverance, and hard work to turn athletes into legends, capturing our imaginations and inspiring future generations. Through our Mission Mexico sports diplomacy programs, we've reached and directly impacted more than 15,000 Mexican athletes, coaches, and students across over 25 sports. This includes 7 adaptive sports disciplines such as parasurfing, wheelchair basketball, and wheelchair fencing, and also para-taekwondo. We are really proud to have contributed to the growth and accessibility of sports opportunities for athletes with disabilities in Mexico. In addition, our sports diplomacy initiatives have supported the development of coaches and sports administrators focused on advancing adaptive sports in Mexico. And by sharing the knowledge and building relationships and partnerships, we are able to cultivate a new generation of professionals committed to inclusion and excellence in sports. We also celebrate the increasing presence of American sports organizations in Mexico and welcome continued collaboration with institutions like ASU and others. These partnerships help us develop athletes and coaches at the grassroots level, just as we've done with the NFL, the MLB, NBA, and more. A key area of focus moving forward for us is expanding access and opportunities in sports for Mexicans with disabilities. By drawing on lessons from the Americans with Disabilities Act, we aim to support the development of accessible sports and infrastructure and inclusive practices, ensuring that all athletes, regardless of ability, can reach their full potential. So I'm delighted to be here today and be part of this event, and I'm particularly excited to hear from 2 extraordinary athletes and Paralympic medalists, Amalia Pérez and Allysa Seely. Their stories are a testament to resilience, determination, and the spirit of the Paralympic Games. So thank you all for joining us today, and let's enjoy this really inspiring conversation. Thanks.
Muchas gracias, Michelle. Y ahora sí, es un gusto para mí darle la bienvenida a nuestra primera invitada de honor. Amalia Pérez Vázquez es la máxima exponente del deporte paralímpico en México. Con más de 20 años practicando el powerlifting, Amalia ha representado a México en 7 Juegos Paralímpicos y ha ganado 5 medallas de oro y 2 de plata. Amalia debutó en los Juegos Paralímpicos de Sydney en el año 2000, ganando la medalla de plata, y en Atenas 2004 volvió a conseguir la plata, aunque esa sabe más a oro, y ahora nos va a contar por qué. Y en Beijing 2008 fue donde Amalia consiguió la Gloria Paralímpica, con su primera medalla de oro e imponiendo un récord mundial de 128 kilogramos. Después de eso ya no hubo quien la parara, pues en Londres 2012 ganó su segunda medalla de oro, con un nuevo récord paralímpico de 135 gramos. En Río 2016 y Tokio 2020, una vez más, ganó el oro. Es decir, que Amalia ha estado en todos los podiums del para-powerlifting femenil desde que el deporte debutó en los Juegos Paralímpicos de Sydney. Y ahora, a unos días de que empiece París 2024, Amalia se conecta con nosotros desde allá, o sea que ya es medio tarde para ella, y es muy generosa con su tiempo. Así que, Amalia, la primera pregunta que te quiero hacer es sobre tu acercamiento a este deporte. Se dio desde muy temprana edad, pero el powerlifting casi fue una coincidencia para ti. En entrevistas anteriores has mencionado que tú ya estabas lista para empezar tu carrera de físico-matemáticas. Así que cuéntanos cómo fue empezar a practicar este deporte a inicio de los años 90, antes de que siquiera fuera considerado un deporte paralímpico.
Bueno, para powerlifting yo lo incurso por primordialmente unos entrenadores. Yo practico el deporte desde los 6 años por mi discapacidad. Mi discapacidad es de nacimiento, se llama artrogrifosis congénita y por ende empezó en como parte de mi rehabilitación en la natación. Posteriormente conocí el deporte paralímpico a la edad de los 13 años y sabía que había asociaciones, había una federación y había deporte paralímpico en diferentes disciplinas como el atletismo, el básquetbol, la natación, el tiro con arco, tenis de mesa. Y en ese entonces yo practiqué todas esas disciplinas, pero los entrenadores ya me veían cualidades natas de una pesista. Cuando íbamos a asistir a un campeonato nacional, yo me había retirado precisamente porque mi intención era estudiar una carrera de físico matemática y pues sí entrenaba, pero lo hacía meramente como hobby, no como de alto rendimiento. Cuando nos íbamos a ir a un campeonato nacional, mis entrenadores me hicieron un test y ese test, pues dicen que no existe las casualidades, sino las causalidades.
Sí.
A mí me pusieron abajo de la barra porque pues ya se había descompuesto el autobús que nos iba a llevar al atletismo y a todos los pusieron a hacer una rutina y a mí me pusieron a calentar abajo de la barra por sí sola, la de olímpica, pesa 20 kilos, me subieron que 10, que 30, llegué hasta los 60 kilos y uno de mis compañeros me mencionó, creo que hasta has de estar rompiendo un récord mundial cuando hice esa marca con un peso de 48 kilogramos, peso corporal. Entonces, desde ese momento se me quedó mucho la curiosidad cuánto era el récord mundial, pero bueno, en aquel entonces no existía tantos medios de comunicación, internet para tener todos esos registros tan a la mano. Sin embargo, ya como en México se venía el Campeonato Nacional en Guadalajara, me inscribieron y tuve que participar en esta disciplina. Gané quedando como mejor levantadora absoluta, como primer lugar en mi categoría de 48 kilogramos que empecé a competir. Y pues eso la verdad me agradó muchísimo. Y ahí de ahí nace mi carrera y el amor al para powerlifting. Y la verdad es de que cuanto más conocía yo lo que era el powerlifting, que es entrenar todos los días en un gimnasio, hacer una programación, cuidar una dieta, ser como prácticamente muy disciplinada, pero sobre todo el buscar el que cada día, todos los días, creo que me ha dado la oportunidad de entrar a un gimnasio y darme, sobre todo a mí, la oportunidad de saber cuánto más puedo yo alcanzar mis marcas, cuánto las puedo ir superando, cuánto las puedo ir aumentando, y eso fue lo que me hizo que me apasionara en esta disciplina.
Mira, si te parece bien, para seguir hablando de tu carrera, también podemos hacer un poco una reflexión de la transformación de los Juegos Paralímpicos a lo largo de los años, porque has representado a México en tantos que tú tienes muy bien el registro de cómo ha cambiado. El International Paralympic Committee, el IPC, identifica como antecedente directo los Juegos de Stoke Mandeville Games en Inglaterra en 1948, y en ese entonces solo había 16 competidores, todos eran veteranos de guerra y solo había un deporte que era tiro con arco. Y décadas después, el IPC y el Comité Olímpico Internacional llegan a un acuerdo para que las ciudades que van a ser sede de las Olimpiadas también sean sede de los Paralímpicos. Y ahora vamos a empezar París 2024 y el número de atletas que va a participar son 4.400 de 185, perdón, países que van a competir en 549 eventos de 22 deportes distintos. Y tú eres una de esas atletas que va a emocionar a los más de 3 millones de personas espectadores que se tienen planeados para este año. Y ahora que vas a cumplir 24 años de tu primera aparición, ¿cómo crees que ha evolucionado los Juegos Paralímpicos, el movimiento paralímpico, desde la organización del evento, las competencias o incluso la cobertura de los medios?
Majestuosamente impresionante. Me quedo completamente anonadada. La evolución que ha tenido el deporte paralímpico ha sido una suma de mucho esfuerzo, de mucha entrega de todos los países, de todas las federaciones, de todos los comités, desde el Comité Paralímpico, el esforzarse y el de traducir el trabajo que nosotros como deportistas paralímpicos hemos venido haciendo. Para mí me queda muy claro que hoy por hoy la mercadotecnia es una herramienta más para poder avanzar dentro del deporte. Entre eso muchas cosas más, ¿no? Pero definitivamente hoy patrocinadores que se suman, eh, marcas, y sobre todo el cambiar la metodología del deporte ha ido creciendo, ha ido variando y las marcas ahora son impresionantes ya para estar en una justa de este nivel es porque realmente tienes un trabajo de alto rendimiento. Ya no cualquiera puede estar aquí en estas justas, como anteriormente, como bien lo mencionabas, ¿no? Era principalmente para, pues, a lo mejor darles un espacio a las personas con discapacidad, hacerles que hicieran algo recreativo en su vida y hoy en día pues no es nada recreativo el estar en una justa paralímpica. El crecimiento de los países, el potencial de los atletas, el potencial que también se compite no nada más como deportistas, sino también como entrenadores, como fisiatras, como psicólogos, todo lo que se suma en un equipo multidisciplinario en cada deporte, eso te deja el trabajo y realmente la preparación y la eficiencia que se va adquiriendo dentro de cada especificidad deportiva. Mm, Creo que esto, la verdad, para nosotros, yo he visto esta evolución hoy, la integración, la inclusión, la equidad que se viene dando en los países, inclusive de los reconocimientos y estímulos que se nos dan a cada uno como nosotros como deportistas, cada vez afortunadamente ha sido esa igualdad y eso nos hace ver como sociedad realmente un trabajo y una inclusión totalmente diferente a hace muchos años.
Y ahora que dices eso de la inclusión, el IPC y el movimiento paralímpico tienen como visión un mundo más inclusivo a través del deporte. Entonces, tú has practicado deporte desde muy chiquita. El deporte, ¿cómo te ha hecho entender el mundo? ¿Cómo ha formado tu vida? Y no solamente las competencias internacionales y la cantidad impresionante de medallas que has ganado, sino, o sea, cómo el deporte fue un factor importantísimo para la vida que llevas hoy.
El deporte fue, yo creo que pues hasta el día de hoy la herramienta fundamental, principalmente yo creo que para descubrir las capacidades que tenemos eh, como seres humanos y sobre todo buscar en ese primero, el primer paso, una integración a la sociedad y sobre todo como persona, el descubrir que puedo hacer cosas. El que, aunque tenga una circunstancia diferente como es una discapacidad, pues no me limita, no me ha limitado para poderme detenerme ni encerrarme en una casa, ni quedarme acostada en una cama, sino todo lo contrario, el buscar puertas, el buscar otras diversidades de poder ejecutar mis capacidades, sobre todo hablando deportivamente, ¿no? Creo yo que el deporte para mí fue una, una herramienta donde he tenido la oportunidad de descubrir cuáles son mis potenciales. Si no hubiera yo encontrado el deporte paralímpico, definitivamente no sé dónde yo estaría, pero seguramente no disfrutando como hoy en día disfruto el trabajo, el potencial que tengo y sobre todo el reconocimiento que también en la sociedad también se nos brinda.
Sí, y justamente ese reconocimiento del IPC y los comités paralímpicos de todo el mundo encuentran en el deporte una herramienta para mejorar la vida de las 1.300 millones de personas que tienen alguna discapacidad en el mundo, es decir, el 16% de la población mundial, según la Organización Mundial de la Salud, lo que los convierte en la minoría más grande del mundo. Justamente los Juegos Paralímpicos catalizan o echan a andar cambios positivos en las ciudades donde son sede. Y los cambios pueden ser en la sociedad o en la estructura física de la ciudad. Y me gustaría decir algunos ejemplos para la audiencia. A partir de Londres 2012, 1 de cada 3 personas en el Reino Unido cambiaron su actitud hacia la discapacidad después de haber sido sede. Para el 2018, había 1 millón más de personas con discapacidad con un empleo formal en Reino Unido que antes de haber sido sede. En Río 2012, el 79% de la población de Brasil aseguró que los paralímpicos habían mejorado su percepción sobre la discapacidad. En 2018, el número de personas con discapacidad en Brasil con un trabajo formal era 49% mayor al año 2009, que es cuando Río se le otorga ser sede de los Paralímpicos. En Tokio 2010, esto causó que el 100% de las estaciones de metro sean accesibles para personas con discapacidad, y también se pasó una ley para obligar a que todos los hoteles nuevos en el país tuvieran al menos el 1% de las habitaciones cumpliendo con los estándares más altos de accesibilidad. Y París no es la excepción. Se invirtieron 125 millones de euros en distintas iniciativas, pero hay una que me llama la atención, que se llama Club Inclusive, que involucró una inversión de 10 millones de euros con la meta de asegurar que 40 clubes deportivos en toda la ciudad estén preparados para entrenar atletas en el deporte adaptado. La iniciativa fue tan exitosa que en total se lograron 44 clubes y se está replicando el modelo en todo Francia. Entonces, con este contexto, te quiero hacer una pregunta y vamos a hacer un ejercicio de imaginación. ¿Eres de la Ciudad de México?
Así es.
Ok, eres chilanga, igual que yo. Imagínate que los siguientes Paralímpicos no van a ser en París, que tú estás preparándote para los Paralímpicos de Ciudad de México. ¿Qué avances o qué cambios te gustaría que pasaran en México a raíz de ser sede de unos Paralímpicos? Pueden ser cambios en la sociedad o cambios tangibles en la ciudad. ¿Qué te gustaría ver?
Yo creo que en la sociedad me gustaría más, ya que todavía sigue habiendo discriminación, todavía sigue habiendo barreras arquitectónicas y todavía no está tan concientizado el trabajo para las personas con discapacidad en México. No obstante que sí, el deporte paralímpico ha sido que volteen a ser visiblemente y tengan otra percepción de lo que es la discapacidad, pero no se ha alcanzado realmente a concretar este trabajo tan funcional como país y como sociedad. Creo que la sociedad merecemos ese respeto, esa cultura, esos espacios, como yo los menciono, las barreras arquitectónicas, para poder tener la inclusión, ya sea en un trabajo, en una escuela o en el ámbito donde nos queramos desarrollar. Tenemos mucho potencial y eso es una de las cosas que lamentablemente en México no tenemos y por eso todavía pues se dificulta mucho el poder trascender en la sociedad con alguna discapacidad. Creo que hoy en día a mí me gustaría que la sociedad volteara a ver, cambiara las perspectivas, se sumara realmente a concientizar lo que es una discapacidad y sobre todo abrirnos las puertas y las oportunidades, como bien lo mencionas, con las accesibilidades principalmente.
Sí, sí, qué importante tema, la visibilización de las barreras físicas como la sociedad que hay, y todavía es una asignatura pendiente que tenemos en México, pero vamos por buen camino, ¿podrías decir?
Definitivamente sí, sin lugar a duda, yo no dudo que si lo que hoy se ha brindado en el mundo entero es la visibilidad y la concientización, la empatía a las personas con discapacidad, que todavía falta, pero definitivamente ya cada vez hay más. Tú bien lo mencionas, pues vengo de una década lamentablemente donde pues la polio se dio en su momento y mucha gente quedó con polio y lamentablemente se desconocía pues los seguimientos o las estructuras para las discapacidades. Hoy en día pues ha avanzado bastante, tanto en el ámbito de medicina, tanto en el ámbito deportivo, como en muchos ámbitos ha avanzado lo que es el conocimiento hacia las discapacidades. Y hoy por hoy, pues la verdad definitivamente sí, creo que se ha avanzado, inclusive la concientización, a hoy en día también ya hay rampas, ya hay lugares especiales, no lo suficientes porque creo que lamentablemente en México tenemos cada vez más, pues son personas adultas y también necesitan esos espacios, también se requiere eh, pues esos, los libres accesos para poder transitar con personas ya adultas y creo que eso también a nosotros nos merma porque pues evidentemente todos necesitamos de esos accesos y sin embargo están trabajando y esperemos que sigan trabajando para realmente tener una accesibilidad. Hoy te puedo comentar que yo me tuve que salir de la Ciudad de México a trabajar a un campamento en Suecia para terminar mi proceso rumbo a París. Y la verdad te puedo decir que encuentro un país de primer mundo y la verdad es de que eso me deja súper sorprendida y muy, muy satisfecha de que en cualquier lugar y en cualquier momento del mundo podemos realmente generar este tipo de accesos y sobre todo concientización.
Sí, sí, la concientización, un elemento fundamental. Y bueno, ya volviendo como a tu preparación de París, cuéntanos la noche anterior a la competencia y la mañana de la competencia, ¿qué piensas, qué sientes, cómo te preparas? ¿Tienes algún ritual o cómo lo vives?
Pues mira, te lo juro que lo vivo muy al máximo. Definitivamente empiezan los nervios, me tengo que acostar temprano, tengo que preparar todas mis cosas. Nosotros tenemos un equipo especial de competencias, botargas, playeras, cinturón, muñequeras. Lo tengo que tener bien alistado en la mochila para que el día de la competencia no me falte absolutamente nada de las herramientas que necesito para competir. Me aseguro de que todo esté en orden. Soy muy, a veces muy ansiosa en el momento ya del día de la competencia. Trato de descansarlo posiblemente desde más temprano para hacer un buen descanso y pararme temprano, bañarme, hacer lo que tengo que hacer, cosas personales y sobre todo, pues como que me gusta mucho ir por los entrenadores a tocarles el momento que ya nos toca lejos de que ellos, generalmente siempre ellos van a recogerme para los entrenamientos o para la hora de comida, ese día generalmente soy, creo que les gano yo y yo ya les estoy tocando para que nos vayamos al autobús, a la salida de competencia y en ese inter definitivamente voy reflexionando cómo tengo que ir preparándome, cargándome de energía, estar muy tranquila todavía para poder estar sobre todo muy concentrada al momento de mis levantamientos, saberlas más o menos platicar con mis entrenadores, con mi psicólogo, sobre todo también con la nutrióloga, que puedo consumir para también estar muy tranquila en todos esos ámbitos y de cierta manera ir como muy, muy tranquila, pero a la vez ir preparando las estrategias sobre todo con el entrenador, cuáles son los posibles cambios que podamos tener, las cargas las que me sentiría cómoda, cómo me siento, si dormí, si descansé, y todo esto que te puede generar o apoyar o te puede mermar. Y si hay algo que te pueda, que mermó, en este caso, si en algún momento no dormí, no descansé o me dolió el estómago por los nervios cólicos, pues ahí están los médicos, ¿no? Entonces, creo que están someramente siempre como muy comunicativa con todo lo que estoy viviendo, si es que hay algo que tenga una variante, que esperemos que no, pero si la hay, ahí está el equipo, pues precisamente de apoyo. Y afortunadamente, pues nunca me ha pasado nada, siempre vamos como muy tranquilos, llegamos muy bien. Y por supuesto hay un ritual muy, muy importante para mí antes de cada competencia. Yo soy muy creyente de Dios, del universo, de las energías, y pues como cada competencia, pues yo pido permiso al universo, pido el permiso a todos los elementos de los que nosotros estamos hechos, de tierra, de agua, de aire, de fuego, y que me brinden esa energía en el momento crucial para yo poder tener todos esos elementos de los que somos, y que lo agradezco y que sobre todo pues me lo den en ese instante.
Claro. Y dime algo, si pudieras regresar a Sydney 2000 o Atenas 2020, 2004, que yo sé que fue muy importante para ti, si nos quieres compartir por qué fue, ¿qué le dirías a Amalia de esos años, ahora como a 24 años después, que con esta trayectoria increíble que tienes? ¿Qué te dirías a ti misma?
Pues principalmente yo creo que decirle que esté muy tranquila, que el camino que está realizando, el trabajo que o hizo o está haciendo fue el correcto, fue el indicado, y que nunca deje de creer en ella y de confiar en lo que viene, que esté segura de lo que esté haciendo, y que definitivamente las cosas sí o sí, que crean lo que ella siempre pensó, que es el trabajar, el disciplinarse, y siempre para un trabajo hay un resultado, y el resultado siempre va a ser positivo. Entonces, que confíe en ella misma.
Claro. Y yo sé que además de ser un referente del deporte paralímpico, también eres un referente para las niñas que se quieren dedicar al deporte y que las nuevas generaciones te buscan, te piden consejo. ¿Qué les dices y qué sientes tú de ver como tanto interés en niñas que quieren llegar a lo más alto en el deporte?
Pues lo mismo, mi camino, mi trabajo, mi trayectoria, que lo que a mí me ha costado no ha sido fácil, no ha sido sencillo, pero sin embargo que nunca, nunca he soltado, sobre todo las ganas, la ilusión, el sueño de estar ahí, ser persistente para poder estar en un lugar. No es fácil, pero definitivamente el ser constante, el ser persistente, el tener esa disciplina es lo que les va a hacer llegar al lugar a donde quieran, porque muchas veces es fácil decir, sí, entra en una semana y a la siguiente semana otra vez ya no quieres, o a veces mucha gente tiene muchas ganas de tirar la toalla. Y creo que a mí en lo particular, pues muchas veces me decían que yo desistiera de este deporte porque no existía el deporte paralímpico, y muchas cosas siempre no se dan porque desistes de ellas. Entonces, yo soñé, me dediqué a trabajar, me dediqué a preparar, y yo soñé que algún día se iba a integrar la rama femenil en unas justas paralímpicas. Se nos dio la oportunidad desde el Sydney 2000 y aquí estamos. Entonces, que nunca dejen de soñar ni de creer en ellas mismas o en ellos mismos, y que definitivamente una de las cosas para que se den es la persistencia.
Tú dijiste, el powerlifting va a ser deporte paralímpico y yo me voy a quedar en todos los podios y hasta el momento lo has logrado. Bueno, ya para terminar, te voy a hacer tres preguntas muy cortitas. Si no existiera el powerlifting, ¿en qué deporte te hubiera gustado competir?
Atletismo.
Atletismo. Cuando te vas a las competencias internacionales y pasas mucho tiempo fuera de México y regresas, ¿qué es lo primero que quieres comer? ¿Qué es lo que más extrañas?
Tacos,
¿Qué tacos en especial? Tenemos mucha variedad.
tacos de México, los tacos mexicanos pues hay tacos al pastor, tacos de bistec, tacos de arrachera, hay
Todos.
los tacos.
Y tu siguiente medalla de oro, si pudieras elegir un atleta, un actor, cantante, que te pusiera la medalla, ¿a quién te gustaría elegir? ¿Quién te
Celine Dion,
gustaría? ¿Celine Dion?
Celine Dion.
¿Por qué?
Es una mujer extraordinaria y es una mujer que siempre me ha inspirado su canto, su música. Me gusta su forma de vivir la vida. He sabido ahorita de la triste enfermedad que le vino y que se ha sabido reponer. Y definitivamente yo me considero como Celine Dion, como una guerrera, como una persona que desde que inició en la música ha sido un ícono para el mundo y porque transmite lo que realmente a ella le apasiona. En este caso, pues yo creo que Celine Dion es una fuente mía también de inspiración.
Una guerrera como tú también. Bueno, Amalia, te dejo ir porque yo sé que ya es muy tarde para ti y no queremos que después, por quitarte horas de sueño, nos metamos en problemas. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. Gracias por representar a México y te vamos a estar echando porras y celebrando tu increíble trayectoria. Así que muchas gracias.
Al contrario, muchas gracias a todos y gracias por querer saber un poquito de la historia de Amalia.
Muchas gracias, Amalia. Y ahora vamos a pasar a la segunda parte, pero antes me gustaría agradecer a mi compañera Mia Armstrong López por su apoyo con este evento y a Aura Jiménez por su excelente interpretación. And for this second part, let me switch to English. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Victoria Jackson, sports historian at ASU, who will moderate this second conversation with Paralympian triathlete and gold medalist Allysa Seely. Welcome, Victoria and Allysa.
Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you, Isabel, and thank you, Amalia. It was so great to learn from you and hear about your experiences. So I'm Victoria Jackson. I'm co-director of the Great Game Lab. It's awesome to be here doing another collaborative event with the U.S. Embassy in Mexico. And I'm going to spend a little bit of a time introducing the acclaimed athlete, Allysa Seely, and then we're going to dive right into some questions. So Allysa Seely is a two-time para-triathlon gold medalist in the Rio and Tokyo Paralympic Games, and I think I have that right, 7-time medalist in world championships in para-triathlon. She has to count, there's so many.
Sounds rough, right?
Allysa is also an Arizona State University alumna and an alumna of our Sun Devil Triathlon program here that is gloried and decorated in its championships. And Allysa is a member of Team USA getting ready to compete in the Paris Paralympic Games. So where in the world is Allysa Seely right now, and how has training camp been going?
So I'm currently in Vichy, France. We've had our pre-camp for Paris out here. Training camp has been really good. Vichy is a beautiful area. The riding is impeccable. And the French have just been so welcoming and encouraging. So we've had a great time out here so far, but I am looking forward to getting to Paris.
I hear you. Has there been anything different in the preparation for these Paris Games than your previous experiences in the Paralympic Games? Or is it like same old, been here, I know exactly what I'm doing, or anything feel different this time around?
I think each preparation for the different games have been different. I think I've grown as an athlete, I've grown as a person. And so not only does all of that play into it, but the difference in courses and climate and all of that really go into how we prep for the games. And so although the race distances are the same, we definitely alter our preparations based off of what exactly we're going to be racing. So this course is much different than other courses we've raced in the past. So we are preparing differently to match that design.
What makes it different? Are there more hills, or like what's different about this one?
So it is a relatively flat course, but it is very technical. It has a lot of technical elements, from different turn sequences to cobblestones. We race down the storied Champs-Élysées, and so there's a lot of very technical aspects to that. We are swimming in the Seine, as most people know from all the media at this point. And so swimming in a river, we're swimming downstream one way and upstream the other. So that also offers something different. We typically are swimming in lakes or oceans, bays, without a directional current as much. And so there's just a few different aspects that we're making sure we include in preparations so that we're prepared for race day.
Wow, I can only imagine just all the different variables thrown at you with this one. It keeps it fresh, that's for sure, and certainly entertaining for our audiences around the world. You
Absolutely.
know, you've been at this a long time, and another way to say that is you're a veteran. And you've been among the very best in the world from the very beginning. So you're like one of these people whose names is very well known in the triathlon world. What continues to inspire you to get out the door and train every day? And also, what segment of the three parts of the triathlon is your favorite?
Um, so I have always taken a little bit of a different approach than many people would assume. When people hear of Olympic and Paralympic athletes, they think like our whole goal is to win a medal, or to win a gold medal. I never started with that as my goal. My goal has always been, I want to see where my limits lie as an athlete.
Mhm.
And I don't think I found it at this point. I continue to get stronger. I continue to improve. And so I don't think I found my limits, my personal limits in sport. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely incredible to be on top of the podium. It's absolutely incredible to hear your national anthem. Um, but for me, it is more incredible to see my growth and my ability, and the fact that I am pushing the limits. I am pushing the sport forward. And that's really what's kept me motivated to keep going. And I've always said one day, like whenever that day comes, I'll be happy to walk away when I either A, don't love what I'm doing anymore, B, I don't think I can get better. Because to me, that's a big sign that like the motivation isn't there any longer. Or C, I'm just like not having fun. It's a taxing lifestyle. We're on the road a lot. It's hard to keep up with family and friends and relationships and all of those pieces. But there's so many amazing aspects too. So that is kind of what's kept me motivated and what's kept me going. And after that long spiel, I forgot what the second part of the question was.
Oh, well, I mean, my gosh, you just shared with us your why. So, I mean, that is so inspiring to hear, and it's for you, which means you're able to really get a lot of satisfaction out of what you're doing. So thank you for sharing your why. But the second question was, of the three parts of the triathlon, what's your favorite? Has it always been your favorite? Has your favorite changed over time?
um, so I am a runner at heart. I love to run. I fell in love with running in second grade. Um, And although I love the variety triathlon offers and I love the challenge it offers, I don't think like um, anything but the run will ever be my favorite.
Well, as a fellow runner here, I hear you. Allysa, you received your diagnoses while you were in college. How did triathlon serve you during that period in your life? Or maybe another way to ask that is, how did you use triathlon to serve you during that period in your life?
So when I received my diagnosis, I was really offered very little hope. And in all of the meeting with different specialists and doctors, my purpose was really stripped from me, like the purpose that I felt in life. And at the time, as a college student, right, your purpose is to like go to school and learn and make friends and connect with community and do all of that. And I had been told like, you won't go back to school, you won't be an athlete again, you can't, no, 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 no. And so at the time, like it really felt like my purpose in life had been taken away. And for some reason, I found purpose in sport. Like I wanted to be active again, not necessarily compete. Like this didn't start out as like, I'm going to be the best in the world. This started out as like, I want to be outdoors. I want to do what I love and I want to do it with my friends. And I want to reconnect to the people that make me, the things and the people. And so it really like started creating that purpose again that had all been taken away when I received my diagnosis and became disabled.
Wow. Yeah, I hear you about that thing that you can use as a vessel to help you feel like you and be with your people and be in the world as you are moving, right? In 2012, you enter the international scene. So, you're doing this because you want to stay active and you want to move and you want to be with your people. But you do enter that international scene at the top. You earn a bronze medal at the World Championships. And then a year later, you have your left leg amputated below the knee. And then again, by 2015, you're world champion. I'm just so amazed by you. And I'm curious if you could share some lessons that you learned along the course of that you could share with our audience from these experiences.
I think the first lesson that I really lived by was never take no as an answer from somebody who doesn't have the ability to tell you yes. And surround yourself with people who want to give you the yes. And that wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy to find people to come along this journey that very few people have walked, very few people have ran. And so finding just one or two people that said, all right, well, let's try it and see what happens. Finding your few people to keep going, because there's never hurt in trying. There's never hurt in trying something nobody's done before. There's never hurt in trying something that you truly believe in. I think that's the first one. I think secondly is stay true to who you are. I think there's a lot of opportunities to mold or meld into other people's ideals and values and lose yourself in a process as complicated as diagnosis disability can be. So stay true to yourself and stay true to what your desires are. I think that's huge. I think if I had let other people define my life for me when I was 19, when I received my diagnosis, like I can confidently say I wouldn't be alive today. But by staying true to like who I was and what I wanted in this world and where I felt I belonged, I've made my life a million fold times better. And so I think those are really two big ones. And then I never tell myself no. Like if there's something I want to do, there's something I want to try. Don't tell yourself no. Don't be your biggest critic. Like tell yourself, let's do it and try. Show up and be ready.
Goodness. I mean, you know, in the women's sports space, we do a lot of work to help girls and women find their power through sport. And you just talked about finding your power and also finding your people so that also believe, right? I think it's that combination of belief and power that you really articulated beautifully there. Well, we also have this gloried Paralympic career that you've had. You successfully defended gold after earning your first gold in Rio. You successfully defend that in Tokyo. And that was after a year-long plus stretch of managing health complications. What did that race mean to you? The race itself, you know, were you kind of having one of those experiences where you're in the moment and you remember all of it? Or was it one of those races where you kind of just zone out and then you're at the finish line because you were in the zone the whole time? What was that race like for you? And the takeaway from that story?
I think a lot of my career, I feel like I'm just like living in a Lifetime movie. I don't think, as crazy as that sounds, because I have been doing this a really long time, I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to like truly stop and take it all in. So for Tokyo, I had gone from, I mean, there was just so much doubt from everybody. I mean, the questions were like, do you really think you can do this? Is it worth it? Can you do it in time? Should we just wait a year? And I remember the thing that I said to what we call our high performance manager. They're like the head of all of our elite athletes. And he asked me like, do you really think this is possible? And I, at that point, was so frustrated. And I just looked at him and I said, if people get out of my way, I can do it. Because I felt like I was fighting every single person around me. And although I know everybody had my best interests in mind, it was a really challenging time. And I think it was a really challenging time for everybody. But getting to Tokyo, about the week before the race, we were at pre-camp. And I'd been working with a sports psychologist, and most of our meetings had been like, this is impossible. I can't do this. So although I'm telling everybody I'm like confident on the outside, like I'm like, this is not going to happen. And a week before the race, I was like, I'm going to win. Like it was immediate, like it just was so immediate. And so when I showed up to that race, I'd literally done one race in like almost 2 years. And it was brutal. It was a mandatory race I had to do to get my spot to the games. I hadn't, at that point, coming back from all the health complications, I hadn't done a workout as long as the race was going to be. So like this was just like a Hail Mary, we have to try. And I ended up getting my spot about a week before the race. It was like all of a sudden I was back. Like my confidence was back. I was ready to race. And so going into that race, I didn't know if I could win. Truly, I didn't. I think that comment and that attitude really came from the fact of like, I had worked so hard and I had done everything I could absolutely do within my power. I couldn't control the health challenges. I couldn't control being in the hospital for 4.5 months. I couldn't control any of that, but every single thing I could control, I did everything I could. And so when I got to that start line, I knew I'd have to race smart. I knew I couldn't go with my normal strategy of just like go fast and try to make other people suffer. Like I was going to have to race smart to make it happen, because very likely people on that start line were more fit than I was. And so I really do remember like each part of the race and just constantly calculating in my head, like, okay, I can let this person go, or I need to stay with this person, and all of these little pieces. And when we finally got to the run, which is my strength, I had my dietitian on the course, and she had been like my biggest rock through all of these challenges. And little by little, I started like taking off places, and I get into second, and she just looks at me and she gives me the time, and she is like, there is nothing stopping you. And that was the moment that I knew like I could win that race, that I would reel in first place and I could win it. And in that moment, it was just like so grateful to have the person who had been my rock that entire time to be the one to be like standing there. And like, we both just like locked eyes and knew what we had worked so hard for and what we fought so hard for. And like the trail reblazed was becoming true.
Oh, that is such a beautiful story. I mean, it speaks to your body of work, right? Like you've been training for nearly a lifetime, and it's in you, right? And even if there's other athletes with maybe better levels of fitness on the starting line, there's memory in all of the training you've done over the years. Your story reminds me of our fellow Arizona State University alumna Des Linden, the year that she won the Boston Marathon in 2018. She had no business winning that race, but she found herself leading it in the final miles of the race. I mean, she even was helping other Americans, like stopping with Shalane Flanagan, who needed to make a pit stop at a porta potty because she's like, I'm not going to win today, but I'm going to try to help somebody else. But then she ended up winning that day, and it had to do with just that core belief, which, you know, you really suggested turned on in the final week before that race, like, I'm going to win this. That core belief, and also, you know, the body of training leading into that. And Des has a catchphrase or a saying that really was illustrated by that performance, which is keep showing up. Just keep showing up, and you never know what's going to happen. I love that story, Allysa.
It's actually funny because my caption on my Instagram post is I keep showing up. So today, literally today.
Oh, I love
it. That's kind of funny.
We'll have to connect you and Des. The keep showing up ASC twins. Well, I mean, I admire you for many reasons, Allysa. And one quality I really admire is how you use your platform to advocate for people dealing with health conditions and share a message of patient advocacy. Like, don't listen to the people telling you no, right? I mean, that's been a through line even just in this conversation. As one example, could you share with our audience about your work with Eli Lilly and your conceptualization of think, talk, treat? I think it's such a clever idea.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because I always hear from so many people how selfish sport is, like other athletes around me. And I've always thought to myself, like, I don't really feel like sport is that selfish. And I've really started thinking about it a little more in the past few years. And maybe just how I do sport is different. I think as athletes, we have an opportunity to put our head down and focus only on ourselves, and to focus on our workouts, to focus on the the tiniest little things that give us a fraction of a second. Or we have the opportunity to take what we've learned and who we are and the platform that we've built to partner with others, to share what we've learned, to help others find a way to chase their dreams. And I don't think I ever made a conscious decision to do that. I think it just became a part of who I was. I'd have people reach out to me, ask me questions, and it was so natural to just try to offer help, try to find solutions, try to help an individual get a new running leg, try to connect an individual with a doctor or medical provider, whatever. And so when the opportunity came around to work with Eli Lilly, it was pretty incredible because it's where I want to be in the world. It's where I want to help bridge the gap. And this is something I talk about a lot when I have the opportunity to talk to medical students or medical professionals, is how we communicate with a patient population is key to, if not, our patients will find success. And I think there's a huge breakdown in that. And now we have research to show that. And so I think working with them and talking about how do we best connect to the people that we're trying to help. I think a lot of times, and I've heard from medical professionals, there's like this tug of war of frustration, right? Like the patients are frustrated, the doctors are frustrated. There's all of these people in the middle, from insurance to administrators to, everybody calling the shots, that there's just been this growing disconnect between providers and caretakers and patients. And so how do we really try to connect the two? And I think that's really where some of these ideas came from. Like, how can we bring solutions directly to people who need them? Can we help others learn to advocate for themselves? How can we help others learn to find the resources they need? Because I think one of the things that stands out the most to me is the amount of times I have had to search and search and search for my own resources. And my stubbornness and my skills and my education have given me the ability to do that, and the ability to show up and advocate for myself. That isn't always natural for a lot of people. I learned for most people, that's not always a natural feeling, especially to people who hold positions of power. And so how do we really make that knowledge and that skill set accessible so that there isn't as big of a disconnect? Or if there is a disconnect, a person experiencing health concerns or disability can then go on to find somewhere where they don't feel that disconnect, somewhere where they feel they have someone in their corner. Because at the end of the day, that seems to be one of the most important things, is how do we feel others are going to be able to help us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love that. You talked about resources. Do you have other sponsors you'd like to shout out? I think it's important for our audience to hear, like, that, it's pretty expensive to train and travel and compete. Do you have some sponsors you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I always tell everybody it's like the most expensive hobby in the world. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing partners. I've worked a really long time with Live Cycling. It's a female-based bike brand, and all of everything from the ground up is female-led. But it's been incredible to partner with them because I've been able to help educate and bring cycling to a population of women with disabilities or chronic illness. We know women have a much higher rate of chronic illness than men. And so being able to advocate and have a company stand behind me and show other women that you can still be active, you can still enjoy exercising, you can find a way. And a lot of times in doing so, you can help treat your physical and emotional health while still struggling with disability or chronic illness. So they've been an amazing partner. I've also had the opportunity to work with Lululemon on some disability related stuff. They are doing great work in trying to be very inclusive and get all individuals able, no matter disability level or any other barrier, into fitness and wellness or exercise. And so some of those partners have been absolutely incredible. I've also been able to partner with some, I'm an athlete, but I am tube fed as well. So partnering with feeding tube companies to show parents of kids that their kids can chase their biggest dreams. They can become professional athletes. They can become doctors, scientists, nurses, teachers, whatever they want, has also been pretty incredible. So really just continuing to try to spread the message of possibility and removing barriers, and working with a lot of those companies have been incredible. So as always, I want to thank Live Cycling and thank Complete and Lululemon for always giving me an opportunity to show up and show who I am and really work with them to expand horizons.
Well, and this partnership, you're certainly bringing a lot of value to those companies too, right? So I think like the idea of the endorsement of an athlete, it's actually a partnership where the athlete is bringing so much, as you were just showing, so much to those companies too. So thank you for doing so much with those partnerships. Allysa, we have a mutual friend and in a friend of Arizona State University, Charlie Hubner. And as you and I know, Charlie played a big role in getting the U.S. Olympic Committee to become the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. And so my question for you is, looking ahead to LA 28, what would you like to see the USOPC and especially the LA Organizing Committee do to lift up and elevate the Paralympic Games coming to the city of Los Angeles?
That is an incredible question. And I think all of us Team USA athletes are so hopeful for the LA 2028 Games. We've seen in London, we've seen in Tokyo, we've seen in these past games that people are interested in Paralympic sport and they want to learn about it and they want to see it. And it just needs to be accessible. And so I'm really, really hoping that with LA 2028 and the USOPC, we can work to continue to elevate the Paralympic Games. I think every year from Rio on, it has gotten better. And sometimes it's super small steps. Like, this is the first games, NBC has changed all of their media handles from NBC Olympics to NBC Olympics and Paralympics. Like, and that goes so far in just putting it in front of other people, because then people start asking, well, like, what are the Paralympics? And start getting curious and start wanting to learn more. And every single one of us knows somebody who's faced disability. So having this accessible to the population is huge. I really hope that in LA we can have packed stands, packed stadiums, that tickets sell out, and that in LA we're having the same problem we're having in Paris, that like our friends and families literally can't get tickets because they're all sold out. Like, that is an amazing problem to have, is so many people are interested in showing up and supporting and growing this movement. I really hope LA keeps that momentum going, finding support for our athletes. And I think it'll be pretty powerful if we can do that.
I agree. I'm optimistic about LA for sure. We have time for I think one question. We have a number of questions for you, Allysa, but we have a question from Roberto Munoz, and Roberto asks a music question. I like this very much. What type of music do you prefer for training moments that make you feel powerful? And if we could know a song that has been meaningful, that encourages you to not give up and continue with the effort to achieve any goal in life every time you listen to it. So your most powerful song, and then what type of music for training moments?
So I actually don't listen to music when I train.
It's kind of dangerous.
I was taught a long time ago by a coach that you train how you race. I also really just love what I do. Like, I love being outdoors. And so when I'm out running or well, it's not safe to be listening to music while you're cycling. So if any cyclists are listening, please don't listen to music. But when I'm out running, I really just enjoy disconnecting and being outdoors on the trails, in the desert or the forest, like wherever I am. So I don't listen to music. Music will be on in like the gym and stuff, but most of the time I just like tune it out. So to be honest, I don't have a playlist, don't have any of that. But my go-to, I have a few like kind of go-to artists more than songs in preferably, but if I was to pick like a single song, and it seems kind of weird, but it would probably be the Chicks Not Ready to Make Nice. And I really just connect with that song because it's like I've always been like, I'm not ready to accept what everybody has told me, like the limitations people have tried to put on my life, and all like the way society sees people with disabilities. Like I'm not ready to make nice with that. Like it's not okay in my book. It's not going to be okay. And it really just like makes me feel like, look how many minds I've changed, like how many ceilings I've crashed through, like, and all of the people that I may have crushed their spirits on the way because I was not holding to their status quo. And so I think that's it's probably my go-to song.
I love that. It's a nice mic drop to end this conversation too. Well, thank you so much, Allysa, and thank you, Amalia. Good luck in Paris. You've got a whole bunch of people cheering for you. It's going to be awesome to see you compete and shine in your performances. Thank you for your time. Get some sleep. It's late there. I want to thank the U.S. Embassy in Mexico again and Arizona State University, the Convergence Lab. Thank you, Isabel Magoya and Mia Armstrong Lopez and Andres Martinez, my co-director in the Great Game Lab. Thank you to the audience for being here, and we'll see you again soon. Have a good one. Bye.